What's going on, family? If you're new here, if you're just tuning in to this is going to be that one. This is going to be that call you don't want to miss. If you're in the funding space, looking to grow your company, looking to start and get into the funding space and start brokering some deals, whether you're trying to help people fund someone with bad credit or good credit, there's always an option, right? If you're somebody looking to secure funding for yourself, or you may have a credit repair, a tax company, or some type of company you want to add funding as a service, this is the call for you. So super excited to have you guys here. I like to be on time, so I'm going to go ahead and get to it. But before we get to it, I got a couple questions for you guys, right? I got 3 questions before we go ahead and get to this game, right? First question is this. If you had $50,000 right now to start or grow a business, what would be the first thing you would invest in? If I gave you $50,000 right now in your pocket, from my pocket to your pocket, to grow a business, what would be the first thing you would invest in to start or grow a business? Go ahead and put that in the chat for me, family. All right. So we got some people saying real estate. Real estate is always good. Real estate can be good. Sometimes it's slow money depending on what type of real estate, but you can never go wrong with real estate. Somebody said marketing. I'm glad you said marketing. Marketing is one of the best things we can actually invest in. The reason why is we continue to generate leads. A lot of people are scared to put money into marketing, but that's one of the best ways you can invest into a business to grow it, right? Somebody else said buying an existing business. That's a great one, right? Why is that? Because there's 2 plays with that. Not only do you already buy into a business that's already working, have SOPs, have employees and different things like that, but also you're able to take that cash flow and then leverage that to get access to funding as well, especially if they have existing tax returns and they have bank statements with consistent deposits being done through that, right? What else we got, family? Somebody said a mentor. 1,000%. A mentor is 1,000% the reason why I am where I am today. That mentor can help you. Don't make costly mistakes that cost you $50,000. So I'm super excited you said that, right? So now that we got those, we want to move on, right? Next question. Would you rather save $50,000 or receive $50,000 from a bank? Let me know, family, which one would you rather do? Would you rather save $50,000 or receive $50,000 from a bank? Usually when I do these type of calls, the obvious answer is receive from a bank. But sometimes we usually get people that say save, so I want to see what you guys got in the chat. Go ahead and put into the chat. All right, we got a bunch of people saying receive. All right, we got one save. Okay, 2 saves. All right, cool. We got 2 people that would save, but majority of like how it always is, they said they would rather receive that money from a bank. Cool. There's no right or wrong answers either, family. Just getting started. And then last question. If you had no choice but to save $50,000 to get started in business, realistically, just be honest with me, family. Realistically, how long would it take you to save $50,000? Right? If you couldn't borrow from a friend, you had to literally grind it out, go to work or however your means of income is, right, and grind it out and save that money to get started in business. How long would it take you, family? Go ahead and be honest and put that in the chat for me, and we're gonna get to this game. All right, we got somebody says 6 months. I don't know what you're doing. You can save 50K in 6 months, but let me know, family. All right, we got somebody says 7 years. Okay, that's about average. All right, 5 years. You got 10 years. Somebody said forever. You got another person said 3 years. Okay, another 5, another 6. Okay, 7. Okay, somebody said 20 years. It shouldn't take that long. I don't think it'll take you that long, right? All right, cool. The reason why I asked this is this. I'm gonna just make it very transparent. The average American, it takes them about 7 to 10 years to save $50,000 to get started in business. Imagine instead of having to wait 7 to 10 years to get started in business, you have 7 to 10 years to actually be in that business. You have 7 to 10 years of experience, and that's why OPM, other people's money, getting access to capital, securing funding is a great thing. That's something that you can explain to your clients if you have a funding company, and if you're looking to access funding or you're trying to figure out why is this thing so valuable, that's one thing that it helps you to do, right? Because even if you save $50,000, it takes you 7 to 10 years. As soon as you deploy that money, you go right back to zero. And anybody that's been in business knows that business doesn't always go as planned, right? So now we're going to keep it moving on. What if I told you you could access $50,000 without financials and you can make $5,000 helping others do the exact same thing? And that's what we're going to cover today, right? I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can do it. Getting access to $50,000 without financials, no bank statements, no tax returns is not very hard at all. It's going to depend on your credit profile. We do that in my funding company every single day, Monday through Friday, helping startups get access to capital with no tax returns, no bank statements, no financials, right? And by the end of this call, you guys have the strategies to be able to do the exact same thing, right? And what if I told you can make $5,000 helping others do the exact same thing? That's our funding model that we're going to explain. Like I'm going to talk about, we charge what we call a back-end fee of 10% of the total amount funded. So if you go out and get somebody $50,000, they would pay you $5,000, and that will be your commission for securing that funding for them. And I'm going to break it all down. So by the end of this call, you're going to have all the tools you need to go out and start funding people and yourself if that's what you're trying to do. So keeping it going. Why is right now the best time ever to start a funding business, right? People always ask me this, and I get excited because it seems like more than ever, so many people are talking about funding or running the funding business, but just being transparent, there's not as many people that are actually doing it. They're just selling people the dream. But I am one of the people that actually run a funding business and want to give you some really grade A information when it comes down to it. So number one, tariffs are raising the cost of small businesses. What does that mean? Now more than ever, there has been an increased demand when it comes to needing access to capital, right? The same inventory that somebody could have got from China that was $20 is now $60, right? It's still a demand. They still need it. Now they have to pay more, which makes us funders, people that provide capital, more and more in demand when it comes down to it. There's less regulations around this industry. So understand in the business lending space, you're working B2B most of the time, means business to business. You're not working business to consumers. So you don't have to have certifications. You don't have to have licenses in most states. You don't have to have all these regulations and things that other industries have, right? In the business lending space, it's almost like the Wild Wild West, right? Number three, business owners are desperate for capital. I can't name a business owner that cannot use more money, that doesn't know what they can put more money into to make more money. So you're working with people that already see the value of capital. You're not working with people that just want money just to have it in their pocket because they understand they had to pay this money back. And then last but not least, there's minimal startup costs, right? This is not like Amazon where you got to come in with 10, 20 grand to buy inventory. This is not like a traditional brick and mortar where you got to get a brick and mortar and set up everything. You can legit start your business off online, similar to how I did, and expand. You can easily get started with just a cell phone, literally, and a laptop. That's literally how I got started doing this while working my 9-to-5 and strategically out of my 9-to-5. If you have a cell phone, a laptop, and a way to generate leads, you can make money today, and we're going to go over that as well. So keeping it moving. Here's a couple business lending statistics that most people don't talk about, right? In 2024, 72% of businesses applied for some type of financing. What do I mean by that? They apply for a business credit card, business line of credit, MCAs, revenue based, some type of product, right? They wanted access to capital for their business. According to the U.S. Census in 2024, over 5.2 million new businesses were started in the U.S. What does that tell us? The demand is always there and it's increasing. There are new businesses being opened every day, and especially in the startup phase, that's the toughest time that they're going to have getting access to capital, and you can be that resource, right? Understand today, I'm going to show you guys how you can, like I said, fund startups with no revenue and be able to help existing business owners that have revenue, even if they have bad credit, right? And you get paid either way. A lot of people don't know this, right? But I have these 4 companies up, but I want to ask you guys. Put a 1 in the chat if you knew one of these 3 companies, let's exclude PayPal, right? Offered funding, right? Offered working capital to business owners, right? Let me see. Because most people don't know. Most people didn't know this, right? See, we got a few, right? But not many. Like for how many people I got in the room, there's not many people that actually knew that these 3 companies actually lent out money, right? The beauty of what I'm about to explain to you guys is none of it is their money. They're doing the exact same thing we can do. It's being a broker, a middleman, right? Being able to connect business owners that need capital to lenders, and we get paid commissions just for closing deals, right? So we got QuickBooks. We all know QuickBooks as an accounting software. They have funded $2.4 billion last year to small business owners, right? Using none of their money. DoorDash, the exact same thing. When we look at DoorDash, we think they're just there to order food, not knowing that DoorDash actually funds a lot of restaurants, right, as well, because they're able to see their revenue. And they disclosed they funded $1.2 billion, but they probably did more last year. Shopify. A lot of us know them as an e-commerce platform, right? They funded $3 billion last year in 2024. And like I mentioned, they used none of their money. They simply found business owners and connected them with lenders and got paid for being in the middle, right? For closing the deal. And I'm going to show you guys how you can do the exact same thing as well, right? So I don't want to be as biased because obviously the funding industry has changed my life and I'm very, very passionate about it. But I want to be real with you guys. I feel like a lot of people, they say you the dream, but they don't tell you the good, bad, and ugly. And that's what I'm here to do, right? So there are a couple obstacles that can get in the way when it comes to funding. The first thing is money, right? Most people think you need hundreds of thousands to get started in this industry when in reality you don't. That's not the case needed, and it never has been, right? But people don't know what they don't know. So a lot of you may think the perceived obstacle is money. You don't have the money to get in. Well, let me show you somebody that didn't have money either, still found a way, and was able to get to their dream life quicker, right? So we got one of my students, Justin. Justin joined my program about 8 months ago, I would say, right? He's hit his first 40K month, was able to fix his credit, and fund himself $120,000 in funding, right? Imagine doing that. Imagine coming from literally being down low, not really making much money, terrible credit, and then getting into something that helps you change your life around, fix your credit, and secure funding. And then you have your first 40K month. And as he says right here, I'm not going to read the whole thing for time's sake, but he says, man, this academy has been life-changing. I'm not going to lie, I was in a dark place for a while, but now I've been able to fix my credit, fund myself $120,000, and have my first 40K month. I appreciate you 7 ways for putting this program together. Words can't even describe how I feel right now. To be real with you guys, Justin had a 610 credit score, I think. I can't remember, right? Like a 610 credit score. He was able to use our financing partner, get into our program, right? Like I said, on a financing, right, at $240 a month, and be able to get this information, execute. And like I said, I don't want to sell you guys a dream. It took him 8 months to get here, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys in here would stay down for 8 months and be consistent to have a 40K month, fix your credit, and secure $120,000 in funding, right? And that's what my guy did. So that's the first obstacle that people perceive gets in their way from getting to starting their funding company or growing their funding company. The next thing we have is time. A lot of people think that time is against them or they need a bunch of time to actually run this business. Let me explain. If you really want to get this business to 7 figures, 8 figures, 1,000%, you need to put a lot of time in it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But if your goal is to make your first 10K a month, 20K a month, 30K, 40K, 50K, even 60K a month, you don't have to put much time into this business to get to that. And that's why I love this business. I tell all beginners, focus on getting 1 to 3 clients a month and watch how your business grow. And if you don't believe me, I always will show you proof of concept. So here's one of my students, Cam. Cam is a full-time engineer in Atlanta. He was able to get the 10K months running his funding company part-time, meaning he still has a full-time job, right? But he's able to secure clients and fund them and boom, get the 10K months. Being realistic, Cam got a 10K months by funding one client $100,000. That's all it took. One client, $100,000, right? You telling me you can't get one client in 30 days? Look, people in the chat saying it's easy. I already know, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and show you somebody else. We got my guy Amir. He was actually my barber when I was living in Atlanta. He reached 30K months running his funding company part-time. And I think when he hit that 30K month, he worked with 4 clients that month, right? So Amir funded 4 clients that month and was able to generate $30,000 in 1 month running his funding company part-time. And he's a full-time barber. He's a full-time barber. So when you guys think, or when people tell you got to have all this time and this and that, you don't necessarily have to. But understand, the more time you put into the business, the quicker it can grow and the more money you can make, and the quicker you can buy back your freedom if that's what you're chasing, right? So understand that. Next, this is the big one, right? Because the gurus will tell you got to have a big audience, right? If your mentor that teaches you funding only tells you to post or post more, get a new mentor, right? Because there's so many different ways that you're able to generate leads. It doesn't have to always be through organic, just posting, right? That's honestly, like I said, probably the least effective way in the beginning, right? Personal branding, short form content, organic content, it helps out over time because people start to see your value and come back and look at those things. But in the beginning, that's not the most effective way to secure clients unless you already have a big organic following, right? So, like I mentioned, a lot of people think they got to be an influencer, they got to have a following to get into the funding space, and that's not right at all. For example, here's one of my students, Hugo, right? Hugo was able to hit his first, I think, 35K month. Excuse me if I'm wrong. It's either 30 or 35K month. We have our funding masterminds, as you can see here, I'm dressed up, and we presented him with his hammer of success. Everybody that go and make money, they go get them a Corvette. So my guy went and got a dope white Corvette as well. And if you don't believe me, you can go ahead and look him up yourself. Here's his Instagram. My guy got less than 300 followers and was able to get to 35K months, right? And you got people telling you got to go viral to get clients. You got to do this to get clients. They just don't understand how to market effectively. You have to understand the service, right, of funding, right? The value of what funding can do to a business sells itself. Posting is something you should be doing. I do suggest you do it, but it shouldn't be your only way to generate leads, right? And since joining our program, my guy Hugo has generated over $165,000 operating his funding business with no audience. And I put this stuff here so you guys can look it up so you know I'm not telling no lies or nothing crazy like that, right? So we're going to continue on. You've probably been told a few of these things. You've probably been told you need financials to get funding. That is not correct at all. That's completely false. If you have a good comparable credit, if you have a good credit profile, you can secure funding without any type of financials, no bank statements, no tax returns, anything like that. Number two, you probably heard you can't get funding with bad credit. That is also misleading, I would say. I won't say it's not true, but it's misleading. We offer something in my funding company, Waiters Capital, called revenue-based lending. With revenue-based lending, we're able to base lending off of the cash flow in your business rather than your credit score. You can have as low as a 500 credit score, and we still can get you access to funding, right? If you're somebody that says, hey, I don't have any revenue and my credit's bad, the obvious thing to want to do is fix your credit. But if you want to, I guess, alleviate and skip the line, one thing we ask in our funding company is, do you have a credit partner? It can be a spouse, it can be a family member, it can be a friend, it can be a business partner. Somebody that has good credit that we're able to leverage to secure funding for you. And then on the back end, remember, business credit is showing your personal credit report, so that way it doesn't impact your score, right? Outside of an inquiry. Next is, you probably heard you need to be in business for at least 2 years or longer to get access to funding. That is also untrue as well. You don't need to be in business for 2 years or longer to get access to funding. You can get access to funding with a month-old LLC, a 2-month-old LLC. However, let me clarify. If you want to maximize how much funding you want to secure, that's when you want to be 2 years or more time in business to be able to maximize how much funding you can get. Once you reach that 2-year time span, you're able to unlock lines of credit, term loans, and like I said, higher limits when it comes to business credit cards as well, because a lot of different lenders want to deal with more established business owners. So understand that. And then last but not least, I see this all over the internet, right? You probably been told you need to build business credit to get access to business funding. I'm going to go ahead and set this straight. I'm going to set the tone straight. Majority of the people that we fund day to day, and we fund people every single day in my company, have no business credit established at all, right? Let me explain, because the internet tells you so much fluff when it comes down to business credit. Business credit is simply adding icing on a cake. What does that mean? It can add value. It can help if you already meet existing data points. What business credit cannot do is put cover up over something that's not established or something that is bad. Let me give you real life examples. If you have good personal credit and you build business credit, that can help you later on to get access to lines of credit and term loans, right? What it cannot do, right? What it cannot do is, if you have bad credit, just because you go and build business credit, just because you have a 90 paydex score does not mean you're going to be able to walk into major banks or credit unions or even alternative lenders and be able to get access to funding just because you have business credit built out, right? So understand that. If your goal is to get maybe a store card from Home Depot in your business name where it's restricted to Home Depot, go ahead and build business credit, right? But if you're trying to get real actual working capital, business credit cards, 0% interest business credit cards, then that's not the route you want to take when it comes down to it. So just understand that. I want to clarify that, right? So this no PG, no EIN funding that you hear a lot about, let me break that down. In the real lending space, right, as being in the funding space and really doing this, they consider that what is really called is corporate credit, right? In order to get access to corporate credit, where it's simply in your business name and not your name, your business must generate at minimum $3 million or more a year in annual revenue to even qualify or even think about corporate credit. So just keep that in mind. When these gurus are telling you to build business credit and go get no PG funding, ask them to see their no PG funding, right? And I'm pretty sure they don't have it because most people ain't making that. And I just want to be real with you guys because I don't want to mislead you. It's a lot of misinformation on the internet, and I want to give you the real up-to-date information, right? Appreciate it. People are in the chat saying thank you, man. I appreciate that. Love it. So as we continue on, the process of funding as a service is simple as this, right? You market and generate leads, you qualify leads, you close deals and fund them, and you earn huge commissions. As you can see here, here's a few commissions that we closed recently, right? One of our lenders, Vista Credit, they paid us out $7,700 on a deal that we closed. It was a $51,000 deal. We earned 15% commission. This was paid directly from the lender. So we did not charge the client anything on this deal. And I'll talk about turning lender a little bit later, right? And then another deal that we had right here, we earned $16,000 in commission from this one deal. As you can see, we closed a $115K deal and we were paid 14% commission on this deal as well. And like I said, both of these come out of my business operating account. We earned $16,000 on this one deal. Put a 1 in the chat if you can use commissions like this, right? Some of you may already be in the funding space looking to get into it, right? Or add this as a service. Some of you may know that this stuff is real, but others, you may be like, this is off one deal? Yes, this is off one deal, and this is why this industry is so lucrative. Damn, we got a bunch of ones. Love it, love it, love it. Because you're able to make money like this dealing with a select few clients a month. You don't have to deal with 1 million clients to be able to get access to funding when it comes down to it. In the real funding space, it's a volumes game. It's a numbers game, right? The more people you talk to, the more likely you're able to come into clients that want your service, want your product, and you're able to close, right? And we're going to break this down as well. So boom, Yep, somebody put in the chat. Like I mentioned, we didn't charge the client at all. Our lenders paid us out with this. And I'll talk about alternative lending a little bit later as well. So as I continue to go on, this training is for someone looking to start a funding company, someone looking to leave their 9-to-5 or create additional income, business owners looking to offer funding as a service, or someone looking to grow their funding company. You may already have a funding company and be at 20, 30K months, but you want to get to those 100K months, and I can help you do that, right? So boom, as we get going, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Stedman Waiters. Everybody calls me Stead. I'm better known on Instagram as Stead.Waiters. I'm the CEO of Waiters Capital, a business funding company, and I'm also a business coach. What do I coach? Who do I help? I show others how to start, grow, and scale their own funding company. I'm not the guy to teach you Airbnb. I'm not the guy to teach you Turo or real estate. I heavily believe that a master of everything is a master of nothing, right? When you really want direct help, when you really want a solution to a problem, you need to go to somebody that specializes in that problem, not somebody that's a jack of all trades. And that's how you get the most value and bang for your buck, right? So I've been a business owner for about, I would say, 4.5 years now. And I've been full-time being an entrepreneur for about 3 years now, right? I don't have a fairy tale story. I was an electrical engineer, used to work in Atlanta. And I felt like my potential was limited, right? And I wanted to figure out how the hell to get out my job. And I got into the funding industry, right? I'm originally from Miami, Florida, lived in Atlanta, but currently I reside in sunny Las Vegas. And I built my business funding empire off leveraging credit, specifically 0% interest business credit cards. I used that to invest into a mentor, and I also used it to actually just bet it all on black, like they say in Vegas, and just went into marketing, generating leads, and closing deals in my office, literally in my work office when I was an engineer, right? In these pictures right here, we'll talk a little bit more about this later. These are masterminds that I host quarterly. So this is a mastermind I did, I would say, late last year. I rented out a penthouse. Everybody came through here in Las Vegas. And here's the one that we did most recently here in April. As you can see, a lot more people came. And like I said, these are a lot of my students, my mentees that I help that run funding companies that are doing really, really good numbers right now. 50K, 60K. We even got one student here doing 100K a month as well. So just understand that we do things at a high level. And I'll talk more about that later. So I'll tell you a little bit more about me. I did everything right that typically your loved ones tell you to do, right? I stay out of trouble, was never really in trouble throughout my life. All I cared about was football. So if it aligned with football, I did it. Went to school, got decent grades in high school, was fortunate enough to go and play Division I football at Georgia Southern University, as you can see here, played linebacker and safety. While I was in college, I studied electrical engineering. Graduated college, went and played a little bit professional arena, CFL. Didn't really make it far after that. Went back into the workforce and got a job as an engineer, as you see here. So at this point, you know what I'm saying, everybody's proud of me. My loved one's proud of me. Everybody's at the cookout saying my son's an engineer, my nephew's an engineer. But I wasn't proud of myself. I feel like my potential was limited and I worked my ass off to get right there. Just wasn't for me, right? So a lot of people don't know that the title engineer means more than a paycheck. When you think of an engineer, you think of six figures, 150K a year. You think they're a genius. And that just wasn't me. There's engineers out there doing it, but it just wasn't me, right? I was trying to figure out how the heck to better my situation. And I felt like I said my potential was limited just due to the corporate America infrastructure and what you got to kind of do to climb the ladder. Nothing wrong working the job, though. I just wanted better for myself. So like I talked about, to show you guys, this was my bank account back then. I had about $5,000 to my name, which isn't bad for a 24-year-old, right? I'm not complaining about that. But this was before I paid my rent. This is before I paid my car note, right? So after those things, if something bad would have happened, I would have been asking for a loan my damn self. A lot of people don't realize that. So one thing when I was in this position, I wanted to figure out how to get better, how to get out of the 9-to-5. Came across an ad, found somebody that was teaching about credit, joined that. That was my first time investing into myself. Learned so much about credit, you know, fixing your credit, securing a little bit of funding, traveling for free. And that was cool. That was a really, really great mentorship. But one thing I want to be transparent that I got out of that was just really taking credit card points and traveling for free. I still wasn't making money. I was buying everybody in their mama courses, but I wasn't making money because I wasn't focused and I wasn't aligned with exactly what I wanted to do. But September 2021 changed my life forever, and this was my defining moment. I took $25,000 that I did not have. I just showed you guys I had $5K in my bank account, right? I secured some funding, invested $25,000 into a mentor that helped me change my life forever. Back then, that was the scariest moment of my life. But when I look back at it now, I'm glad and I'm 1,000% appreciative that I took that investment because it's helped me get to where I am now. And I wouldn't be here without that, right? That mentor that I invested in, it's not famous. He's not online. He's not a big influencer at all, right? A real business person. They ran an 8-figure funding company, had a 40-man sales team. It was doing it big, right? So when you are looking for mentors, get direct help from somebody in the industry you want to be with that has a proven track record. I would say that. Do your research, right? So I would say this. When I invest into that mentor, a lot of people look at it like, oh, you just gave him $25,000. But no, what I bought into was a relationship. Right? Not only a relationship with him, but the resources he connected me with, people that helped me scale my business that I would have never even knew about, right? Also the accountability, him holding me accountable, making sure that I'm doing the right things and making the right decisions when it comes down to it. Also, he helped me to avoid costly mistakes. Understand you don't know what you don't know, right? And that's why it's always important to invest. Not saying you got to do 25,000, nothing crazy, but you know, if you really want to take a industry serious or you want to do something, it's always best to invest into somebody to help you get to where you want to get quicker, because the quicker you get to your goal, the longer you get to enjoy it. Remember that, family. So that was my defining moment. As you continue to go on, like I mentioned, I started my funding business, helping entrepreneurs get access to capital. So there's two models that you typically hear about. At Waiters Capital, my funding company, we offer both, but I'm going to break both down for you. So traditional lending is typically when you earn a 10% commission on the total amount funded. Traditional lending, you probably see all over Meta. You probably see ads for it. 0% interest funding is essentially credit card stacking, right? Getting people a bunch of 0% interest business credit cards, which is a great thing, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's a very lucrative model. You earn 10% commission of the total amount funded. So to give you an example, I got a lot of you guys on here, right? If I got you $100,000, you would pay me $10,000, right, in commission. Meaning that you realistically only have to work with 1 to 3 clients in a month to have a really good month. And this is why this is one of the best business models ever. You don't have to have a ton of expenses. You honestly need a laptop, cell phone, a way to generate leads, and you can start closing deals right now, right, when it comes down to it. So I did really, really good at traditional lending, credit card stacking. That's my baby. I love it. It takes a little bit more deeper understanding of credit, lenders, underwriting, stuff like that, but it's really, really good. One thing that changed my business forever, though, which is like the bulk of my business now, is alternative lending, which is revenue-based lending. I love the revenue-based lending industry. Why? Because you're able to help entrepreneurs, business owners that have not so great credit, let's say as low as a 500 credit score, as long as they have business cash flow, business monthly revenue, we're able to still get them access to capital no matter their credit score, right? What I like to say in this industry, if it makes money, it makes sense when it comes down to it. The beauty about this industry is you can earn up to 15% commission of the total amount funded, and you don't have to charge the client anything because you're getting paid directly from the lender, right? So the lender's paying you out. To give you an example, if I got you guys $100,000 through alternative lending, the lender would pay me out $15,000, right? So make that make sense. We already got some fire emojis in the chat. Love it, love it, love it, right? And then one thing, let me ask, does anybody know about renewals? Put a one in the chat if you know what a renewals is. Let me see if anybody know about renewals. All right, we got a few. Okay. We got a few people that know about renewals. So for the ones that don't know about renewals, renewals is in the alternative lending space. It's the only way to have some type of passive income when it comes to funding, right? Usually with funding, you find somebody, you fund them, and then boom, you're on to the next one. But this with renewals, you're able to stack up and be able to renew them once that term is 45% paid in or more, right? So let me explain. If you get somebody, let's say alternative lending, let's say you get them an MCA, right? And it's a term for 6 months. Let's say they get 45% paid in and they want to renew. Let's say you got them 100,000. You're able to renew and get them another 100,000, and you're typically paid about 12% commission or points in that industry. They call it points, right? On that as well. So not only do you get that 15,000 from the first deal you close, but if they renew once they're 45% paid in and they get more funding, let's say 100,000 for good numbers sake, that's another $12,000 in your pocket. So to give you a real life example, we just found something and put it on here for you guys, right? Here's a small little deal that we closed. Nothing crazy, nothing major here, right? This business owner was averaging about $5K a month. So nothing crazy there. They had like a 515 credit score. We got them $8,000. We only made $640. Nothing amazing there. Got paid 8% commission. This is a 90-day term. I understood from my mentor that rookies make money on the front end, professionals make money on the back end, right? I knew we just needed to get him into our system, and when we renew him, we'll be able to make more money later on. So when renewal came around, we were able to make he got an offer for $17,500. When a renewal come around, remember, renewals come once you're 45% paid in. So boom, renewal came around, they offered him $17,500. Keep in mind that this person didn't contact us, the lender contacted them directly, and they accepted it, and then the lender sent us an email saying your deal has been renewed, and we were paid out $1,400 with no work involved, right? No work involved, and we made 8% commission, which totaled to $1,400 on that deal. Put a one in the chat if you would love to get paid $1,400 in commission randomly without having to put much work in, right? Love it. You got a bunch of ones in the chat again. Love it. Y'all are hype. Y'all really engaged with this. I love it, right? And that's what I like to do with my people. I like to be engaged when it comes down to it. And that's what you guys can do when it comes down to it, when it comes to understand alternative lending and how this space works, right? So as we continue on, like I mentioned, alternative lending is a whole bag, especially if you're doing traditional, you need to add alternative. There's another deal that we closed. The cleaning business had a 505 credit score. Monthly revenue was $75K. Got a deal funded in 48 hours. We got them $109,000 offer, 7-month term. They ended up accepting this as well. We were paid out 14% commission, which totaled to $15,000 off one client, off one deal, off one merchant, as we call in the private finance space, right? So understand, this is the beauty, this is the benefit of being in this space and why it's so valuable. Because like I said, one deal can set you up for the month, and that's exactly what we did, right? 15K off one deal. We didn't charge the client anything. We would pay directly from the business owners, right? From the lenders. So as we continue to go on, I was doing a lot of this while working a 9-to-5, as you can see. Here's some traditional results. As you can see, got somebody 50K, made 5K commission here. Got somebody 50K, made 5K commission here. Got this person 132,000, left me a testimonial, made 13,000 there. Got this person 70,000, made 7K in commissions there as well, right? So like I said, I was doing all of this while working the job. My first month after leaving my job, I had my first 50K month, right? And I show this not to brag, but to show you guys that a lot of us, we may be in the industry, we may have done something that's showing us that we need to move on, but we're probably scared. And that was me. It took me 18 months to build up confidence to leave my job. Not so much that I didn't believe in myself, but I let other people put their limited beliefs, their disbeliefs on me, right? I come from a family where nobody's been an entrepreneur. either making 20K, 10K a month is like, what you doing? You selling drugs? You know what I'm saying? It's that type of atmosphere. So it's very unheard of, right? And a lot of people would tell me, how long do you think this business is going to last? Like, yeah, you're making money now, but are you going to be making money in 6 months? Or they say, like, you're an engineer, you're meant to be an engineer, you went to school for this, you're going to throw all that away? Or, you're going to take this guaranteed 2-week paycheck, you're going to throw that away to now go have to figure out how to make money? So a lot of things that people put onto you, but you got to understand those people are not qualified to give you information, right? A lot of people that try to put this uncertainty and these disbeliefs in your mindset, they've never been a business owner. They never took a risk. They just sit on the sidelines and spectate, right? Or they thought they took a risk by doing something and didn't get the proper guidance and didn't stay consistent at it. And now they think they can tell you, nobody's successful at business. It's a scam. And it's not, you know what I'm saying? So just showing this to show you guys that it can definitely happen once you put your mind to it. I wouldn't say leave your job, but once the business starts generating income and it justifies leaving the job, make a logical decision to do so. I would say that, right? So boom. As you continue on, like I mentioned, I actually need to update this because we actually funded $40 million. I need to update this, so I apologize, right? But I actually own a real funding company. There's a lot of people in the online space right now, because funding is really hot, that talk about, I've done this with funding. I made $80,000 with funding. I've done all of this with my funding business. I do all these crazy things in funding, right? But when you want to get funding from them, you got to DM them, right? They making all this money off of funding. They doing all these crazy, wonderful things with funding and made all this money and changed their life off of funding. But the only way you can get funding from them is a DM. Tell me, how does a person that's making $80,000, $70,000, $100,000 a month off of funding, how you not have any online presence? You don't have a website. You have no referrals, no employees, right? You have no references. You have no online presence, no Google reviews, no Trustpilot, no nothing. But you're making all this money off of funding. You're just like the only one, right? Understand that those people, you are the product. Right? You are the product. They're not really doing what they say they're doing. But like I said, with me, I actually own a funding company. You guys can look my company up. You can search on my website. You can book a call. You're going to speak to one of my reps. Understand that I actually do what I talk about, right? And what we've done is we funded $40 million to small and medium-sized businesses, whether it's startup funding, revenue-based lending, collateral-based lending, equipment financing, SBA, business term loans, business lines of credit, and real estate loans as well, right? So enough about me. By the end of this, you'll know the same 3-step system I teach to take students from 0 to 10K months, running their own funding company or being a business loan broker or whatever category you want to call it, right? Without prior experience, no huge following, or a ton of money to actually get started. So first and foremost, I want to play a little game with you guys. so that we can start to understand and think how underwriters think. And that's going to be very, very valuable as we continue to go on today, right? So let's say you're the bank and you have $1 million to lend, right? This game has helped my student Brandon go from 0 to 20K months. He's a real estate agent and investor. He does funding part-time, and he's able, like I said, to generate 20K a month doing this part-time, right? Just for time's sake, I'm not going to play this for a testimonial, but I do want to show you guys that this is somebody, like I said, that we have took him from 0 to 20K months, running his funding business part-time. He already told me primarily real estate, and it's his main thing, but he saw the value in adding funding as a service, right? So I'm going to skip this, but he understood this game we're about to play, and he was able to get to 20K months consistently, right? On top of that, my guy, as you can see here, his name's Brandon. You can search him up, do what you want to do. You can ask him any question you want to. He was able to fund himself $235,000, right? Fund himself $235,000, get a Corvette 0 down, right? Just by joining our academy and adding funding as a service. The same guy. Imagine you funding yourself $235,000, getting a Corvette 0 down, getting 20K months, all off adding funding as a service or running your own funding company. It can happen with you as well. But like I said, we're going to play this game. As you can see here, I just wanted to show you guys what happens once you understand and master this game. So let's say you're the bank, you have $1 million to lend. First person you got is Bad Credit Joe. He claimed he changed his life around, is asking for $1 million to start a business. He has horrible credit, 510 credit score, defaults on a multiple loan, excessive late payments, and is dodging debt collectors left and right. But my guy won $1 million, right? You guys giving him $1 million? Let's see. Candidate 2, we got good credit Marcus. Pays all his bills on time, has $20,000 in student loans, and his highest credit limit is $500 on a credit card, right? but he has a 770 credit score. So this is good credit Marcus. Last but not least, we got Real Estate Monica. Pays everything on time, great source of income, has a great history of borrowing large amounts and paying them back, right? So she's a real estate flipper. She'll borrow $20,000, put it into a property, fix it, flip it, sell it. She'll pay the bank back $20,000, keep $20,000. She'll do the same thing with $50,000 and $100,000, right? Her utilization is kind of high, so she has a 705 credit score. If it's our $1 million family, who are we giving the money to? Is it Real Estate Monica? Is it good credit Marcus? Or is it bad credit Joe? Who are we giving the money to, family? You guys already saying number three. All right. If you said number 3, you're correct. Before I even finished, I was already saying 3. Love it, right? So Real Estate Monica is the person that we're giving the money to. The reason we want to get it to good credit Marcus, he has a good credit score, but he has what we call a thin credit profile. So he hasn't shown the underwriter he's able to handle that amount of money because his highest credit limit is only $500, right? So understand that. And with bad credit Joe, even though he may have the tools and experience to build $1 million business, his financial transcript, which is his credit, is not showing that, right? That's why it'll be tough for him to get $1 million when it comes down to it. So as we come and keep it going, I want to explain the FICO scoring model to you guys. A lot of people skip this, but this is one of the most important things that we're talking about today, right? Understanding what your credit score is made up of, right? So 35% of your credit score is made up of payment history, right? Payment history is the most impactful thing to a credit score. Having 1 or 2 late payments can knock you down 20, 30, 40 points, right? One thing the gurus don't tell you, underwriters only look at the most 2 years or 24 months of payment history to qualify you for funding. If you had late payments during COVID, it may still impact your score, but if everything looks paid on time from them, it's not going to impact your results when it comes to funding, right? Another thing is utilization, the amount owed, right? It makes up 30% of your overall credit score. So a lot of people don't understand that utilization is a really, really important part when it comes down to it. The second most impactful thing. The gurus will tell you you need to be at 10% or under to get access to funding. Me talking from experience, somebody that funds people all the time, if your utilization is at 40%, I would say, let's say 35%. If your utilization is at 35% or lower, you're good to go when it comes to funding. And I'm telling you this from experience, not just from whatever, right? I actually do this. The reason I say this is the American average for utilization is 40%. So being at 35, you're still good to go to get access to funding. 10% is new inquiries, new credit, right? The other 10% is credit mix, have a different type of products in your credit report, installment loans, revolving accounts, different things like that. And then last but not least, 15% of your credit score is made up of credit age, right? So as you continue to go on, family, I want to continue to add value to you guys. This is going to be the second most important thing that I talk about today, which is the 1% blueprint. I created the 1% blueprint based off of the 1% income in the United States. The 1%ers of the United States make over $500,000 or more a year, right? So we want to put ourselves in the mindset of a 1%er when it comes down to it. How do you think they structure their finances, right? What do you think a 1%er's credit profile looks like? We're going to go down the list. They probably don't have any late payments. They're probably paying their stuff on time. More than likely, they probably don't have negatives, right? More than likely, they probably have lower utilization. They're able to manage their finances. They don't have maxed out credit cards. And then last but not least, one of the most important things, they probably have existing accounts on their credit report that are higher limits. Whether it's a nice car, have a high limit auto loan, or it can be a paid off personal loan, right? A paid off personal loan or high limit credit cards. Those are all comparables, and underwriters base lending decisions based off of the comparables on your personal credit. So understanding that can help you really maximize when it comes to actually funding yourself or funding other clients. Then we go through our credit to cash flow formula. Most people that you come in contact with day one maybe won't meet those data points, but you can optimize to help them meet that to then be able to get them funding, right? And then we go through our no doc 150K strategy to maximize how much funding we can get them. Understand, everybody on the internet give you 100 banks that you can quote unquote go to go get funding, and they don't ask for documentation or anything. And some of you may have went to these banks and tried to apply and got denied, or they ask you for docs and you're like, dang, this person just made a whole video saying that this bank doing all these different things. The reason why I don't make videos like that is because of this. Everybody's credit profile is different. Just because somebody got an approval with no docs does not mean you're going to get that same approval with no docs as well. It's going to be based off your credit. So instead of giving you guys 100 banks you can go to because that's irrelevant, I give you the recipe, the strategy to actually that leads to consistent results, right? A lot of people in the funding space lack fulfillment because they don't understand credit, right? And they don't understand credit and they don't have the connections. And we're going to break down both. And I just gave you guys the recipe to maximize funding. When you follow this, you have results like this. My guy Camp, he got somebody $100K from Chase alone, made $10K commission. I think when he was done with this client, he got this person $180,000 and made $18,000 in commission off one client. How was he able to do that? Because he went and followed this blueprint, and you guys can do the exact same thing, family. So as we keep it going, one thing we don't do is we don't apply online. Right, we don't use a shotgun method, which is applying all at once, and we don't use overnight hacks. Right, that's not what we do. A lot of people think there's hacks like overnight hacks. They think it's an overnight hack, but in reality, it's going to get the same result whether they apply it during the nighttime or daytime. Right. Instead, we use our relationships with lenders and leverage strategy to minimize approvals and to maximize approvals and minimize inquiries. What do I mean? Relationships take you further than anything else. In the funding space, it is a people-based business, right? It's a connection-based business. Relationships can turn a denial into approval. It can turn a 5K approval into a 50K approval. What a relationship cannot do is work magic. If somebody is tremendously unqualified, it cannot make them qualify, right? Just understand that. But what comes into play to make sure we're putting our clients in the best possible position is strategy and understanding how to maximize approvals and minimize inquiries by understanding which lenders, like what type of industries, what credit profiles see the best success, and all the back end data points that really gets the results that people are looking for when it comes to funding. So as we continue on, when building a funding sequence, you want to understand the where, what, and when. These are very, very important when building a funding sequence. The where is identify the right lenders to go to based on your business structure, credit score, and different things like that. Then we want to go to the when, or the which, the what, I would say, right? Which is which product serves us best. I want to slow down right here because this is very important. A lot of people think that, and it's crazy, but a lot of people think that everybody can just use credit cards, and that's not the case. Every business owner needs a different type of funding product. And I think a lot of people, especially in the online space, think that they can just shove credit cards down everybody's throat. And not everybody needs that, right? So let me break it down. Let's say you have Johnny. Johnny's a startup. He wants to start an e-commerce business, has phenomenal credit, but no business revenue, and his business only a month old. We know that we're not going to be able to maximize and get Johnny business lines of credit as much or any business term loans, right? But one thing we are able to help Johnny to get is business credit cards, right? At 0% for the next 6 to 18 months. So we go and credit card stack Johnny. We get paid our 10%, and Johnny can now use that money to invest, grow his business. And when he comes back for round 2 of funding, he has revenue, he has bank statements that allows us to get him lines of credit and business term loans, right? Then we're going to go to candidate number 2, or situation number 2, I would say. Let's say Lisa. Lisa has a 550 credit score, but she makes $27,000 a month running her food truck, right? Lisa's making money. Her credit's not there. Just because somebody has bad credit does not mean they do not have a demand for capital, right? So what do? We understand that Lisa can't go to traditional banks like your Wells Fargo, like your Chase, like your BMO, but we understand that there are private money lenders in the alternative space that will lend to her based off of her revenue, right? So we would go revenue-based lending when it comes to Lisa, whether it's MCA, a line of credit, whatever is revenue-based. We'll get her 30K, 35K based on her revenue, and we're still able to suffice her, get her the funding she needs, and we get paid directly from the lender. And we have candidate 3. This is the candidate that most people cannot fulfill it because they just do not know, right? Let's say you have a mom and pop, an established pizza restaurant in your region, right? Let's say they have 5 locations and they want to open up a 6th location, and they need $600,000 in expansion working capital. A lot of people mess this up because they don't know what to do, right? They don't need credit cards. They got 2 years of tax returns. They got bank statements. They got a P&L. They got a debt schedule. They got all the things you need, right? But they don't know what to do. And this is where a lot of referrals come to us because we know how to handle these people. What we would do is we would go SBA 7A, right? We'll go at SBA 7A because they have everything they need. They have all the documents that require SBA 7A. while that deal is in underwriting, because that can take some time, one thing we can do in the midst of that is go credit card stack them, right? We can go get them $100,000 in business credit cards. In the meantime, while the SBA is being processed, right? Let's say we get paid $10,000 off the credit card stack, and then the SBA, finalizes, we get paid from the SBA as well. Now we're paid 2 times off of one client, helping them out to get to where they need to go. So understand, not every client is built the same. Put a 2 in the chat if that makes sense to you. I want to make sure I didn't talk over anybody's heads, and you guys are still rocking with me. You guys are still following me when it comes down to it. I love it. Look like we're still rocking. Cool. So as we continue on, we want to talk about strategy, and I think a lot of people leave strategy out, but this is the most important thing. So there's 2 strategies we're going to talk about. One, when it comes to traditional credit card stacking, you always want to apply for your inquiry-sensitive banks first and your less inquiry-sensitive banks last. So inquiry-sensitive banks like Alliant Credit Union and Barclays, they will deny you for too many recent inquiries, even if you have a good credit profile. So we want to apply for them first. And your less inquiry-sensitive banks like an Amex, those we want to apply for last, right? Another thing when it comes to strategy, and this is more so scaling, like let's say you're in business, you're making money, it's understanding CLTV, right? Does anybody know what CLTV means? Put in the chat if you know what CLTV means. All right. Nobody. Okay, cool. That's fine. CLTV stands for client lifetime value. It means how many times does an existing client buy from you in their customer journey, their customer lifetime cycle, right? How many times does one client buy from you? A lot of us, we're providing one service and that's it, and we never see that person again until they need a service again. It's nothing wrong with that, but one thing that we can do right away to make more money is make more offers to the same people that already know, like, and trust us, right? So I'll give you guys an example of how we do and how we teach in our academy. Let's say Lisa. Lisa has a 515 credit score, is making $27,000 in her food truck. Let's say we got a $30,000 in funding based off of revenue, right? Cool. We got paid from Lisa, $3K. We happy. She's happy. Boom. But instead of letting Lisa just walk, why not add more services? We can say, hey, Lisa, we actually have an opportunity to help you improve your score. So next time you're looking for funding, you're getting a better rate, right? She's getting a better rate because usually with lower credit scores, the rate is a little bit higher. Lisa's going to say yes. You charge her $1,000 for credit repair. Now you took your overall revenue from Lisa from $3K to $4K. Let's say you fix her credit. You take it from a 515 to a 720. You go in credit card stacker. You get $100,000 in business credit cards, right? Now you make an additional $10K, right? Working with Lisa, helping her to get access to funding, 0% interest funding. So now you take your client lifetime value with Lisa specifically from $3K to $14,000 just by offering more. Right? It's the same person that already knows, likes, and trusts your company, right? You're just offering more. And then last but not least, ask for business. You already provided 3 life-changing results for Lisa, right? She's going to be able to show anybody else that you are the person that can help them get to where they want. Understand, business owners hang around other business owners. So if they need a service, they need something too, Lisa's going to refer you, and you can go ahead and pay her for that referral once you fund them, right? That's how you maximize your client and take a client from a $1,000 CLTV value to a $14,000 just by offering more. Yes, scaling, you want to get more clients, you want to build systems, you want to get, more employees, and you want to kind of build the business up 100%. But one way to make more is just by increasing a client's CLTV, right? Selling more to them, right? So I want to show you an example of that because everything I talk about, I like to give you guys an example. My guy, Gushard, says right here, got my client approved for 18.5 through alternative lending. I just signed the client up for credit repair last week for $1,200. While we work on his credit, we got him approved for 18.5 for his business using alternative lending a few days later. When we are finished with credit repair process, we're going for $100K of 0% interest funding and some loans. Data points, dude had a 500 credit score and was making $15K a month. So the dude already signed up for credit repair because he knew he needed that, but he was already generating money, right? He was already generating money in his business, right? He was generating $15,000, but he had a 500 score. We were able to leverage that $15,000 and get him 18.5. Gushard made 10% of that, which is $1,800. So he's already at $3K in CLTV and revenue collected before even doing anything else. And you guys can do the exact same thing, especially if you have a credit repair business. So as you continue to go on, there are a 4-step framework when it comes to running a funding business, right? You got to market, qualify, close deals, fund them, and multiply, right? And let's break them all down. So when it comes to marketing to generate funded leads or just leads in general, there's only 4 ways to market. A lot of people talk about marketing in so many different ways, but realistically, there's only 4 ways you can market to attract clients, right? Number 1, you have warm outreach, which is organic content or reaching out to people that know you or know of you, right? That's one way to do it. Next, you have our people of influence strategy, which is leveraging other people's platforms. And then you have cold outreach, which is reaching out to people who don't know you, right? And then you have paid traffic. Paid traffic is just paying for attention. That's all paid traffic guarantees is attention. Your sales funnel, your profile, your website, whatever you're sending people to should do the job of getting that person to book a call or whatever your call to action is, right? For beginners, I highly recommend focusing on closing 1 to 3 deals a month. Once you build up a marketing budget, then we can get into paid ads and different things like that. If you're somebody that's more advanced, you're already making 20, 30K a month, 40K a month, and you want to get to those 100K months, you have to expand, right? To get to newer levels, you have to do something different than you're already doing or do more of what you're already doing, right? But a lot of us adding more to what we're already doing can be a really good thing, right? So we want to expand to cold outreach. You got to expand to reach out to people that don't know of us. And that can be through cold calling or that can be through paid ads, right? Or leveraging other people's audiences. So as I go back, I want to talk to people. I got stars right here because most people are in the beginning stages of their funding company. Warm outreach is a really, really good thing, right? Being able to post content, value-based content, solving solutions that lives forever, right? And connecting and contacting people that already know of you, right? They may not need funding, but they probably know somebody else that will. The biggest thing that changed my funding company in the beginning and that helps a lot of my students is our people of influence strategy. Just because you don't have an audience doesn't mean you can't leverage somebody else's audience. And there's 2 ways to do that, right? Let's say you have a business coach that teaches real estate. That business coach has a bunch of mentees that see the value of money, that need money to be able to build their portfolio. You can contact that business coach and say, hey, can I do a free call for your community showing them how they can leverage OPM to increase or build their portfolio, right? That's one way to add value and then give a call to action, to book a call when it comes down to funding. And what you can do as well is get that business coach on your affiliate program, right? So anybody needs funding in his mentorship, in his academy, you're able to fund them. And those are free leads that you didn't have to work for, right? And you pay them out, for the deals that you fund. That's one way. Sorry, guys. That's another way that you actually can scale. And it's one thing if I just say it, but I want to show you how it works, right? It's one of my students, David, says right here, secure my 6th biz funding contract. Last week, I onboarded secure my 6th client while being on my 2nd official month in business funding. What's the secret sauce? I wasn't afraid to ask Stedman questions to follow everything he told me to the T. When you have a mentor who's literal living proof that you can make 20, 40K, 60K months, it becomes impossible not to win. So understand, the things that I'm telling you guys is not BS. It's stuff that I've actually done, that I actually teach my students, and that actually have results when it comes down to it. So the next thing is you want to qualify, right? You want to be able to qualify your clients or the leads that you generate based on, their what they have, right? So for traditional, if they have a good credit score, let's say 700 plus and no revenue, right? Or they have good credit and revenue, you can go more to traditional model where they pay you 10% on the back end. As you can see here, we got somebody $75,000 from Chase. We were paid $7,500 in commission. Or you can go here to the alternative side, right? For the alternative side, those that have not so great credit, but a cash flowing business, right? They can have as low as a 500 score. We're basing lending off of their revenue. As you can see here, we got a $150K offer for 10 months. Was paid 14% commission on this, which is $21,000 off of just funding one deal, closing one deal, guys. So both of this stuff is realistic. You have to understand how to qualify your clients and what meets them best, right? What suits them best. And then closing deals, right? Here's a deal that we closed for $200,000 for a restaurant out in Florida. We're paid $20,000 in commission. Is one thing if I talk about it, but I like to show you guys and show that it's actually real and you guys can do it as well. Understand what traditional is more, overall sales in the funding space or just in the funding space in general, it's more consulting than just selling to people. When you consult, that's when you start to really see your revenue increase, your results increase. When you're just trying to sell, that's when it's a little bit hard. So always consult rather than sell when it comes to the lending space, right? And then last but not least, but multiply. You want to be able to gain repeat business, right? And that's one thing that a lot of people lack when it comes to the funding space, right? So here's one of our clients, Reggie. Reggie, we've been able to generate over $16,000 working with him directly to be able to secure him capital. Reggie owns an ice cream parlor. We know, right, based on our knowledge, understanding financial trends for different industries, that Reggie's it's 2 points in Reggie's, like, I would say, year that he really needs money. One, when it's the winter months, because everything slows up, he may need money for payroll, so we reach out to get him funding then. And two, spring, right before it warms up, because we know that he's going to be selling out of ice cream. He wants to stack up on inventory because it's getting closer to those warmer months, right? So understanding those two time frames, that's when we usually hit Reggie up to be able to offer financing to him. He usually accepts, and like I said, we've been able to generate $16,000 working with Reggie. So my guess, my suggestion to you guys is start to understand industries and their financial trends. A lot of times in the funding space, it's not always about what you have, what lenders you have, what connections you have. It's about being there at the right time, at the right place, and you only understand that by understanding financial trends and understanding different industries. You don't have to be an expert, right? Many people ask, how do we maximize the funding process? Benefits of a shell corporation. They're more fundable, they come with age, and banks lend more to older businesses, right? So, to show you guys an example of it, to show there's no fluff, as you can see here, I got $90,000 at 0% interest for 12 months from Chase because of one of your corps. This is one of our affiliates. We have a whole skip tracing team that sources these shell corporations, and we actually leverage them for our clients, but also some of the other funders as well. And you guys can do the exact same thing. If somebody has a young business, getting an age corporation, a shell corp can actually help them maximize the amount of funding they can actually get access to when it comes down to it, right? It is not meant for people that have bad credit. So you got to have decent and good credit. Next, I want to talk about this. The people who win in this industry are the ones who don't try to figure it all out themselves. They plug into what's already working and use proven systems, right? As you can see here, my guy G, during our challenge, he made $33,000 in 35 days. You don't have to get out the mud, right? Everybody's so prideful these days. Everybody thinks I got to get out the mud. I got to be the one. You're not going to get far just trying to do it by yourself, just being transparent. Or it's going to be very tough. I'll say it'd be very tough. Why not plug and play to a system that's already working and be able to get to your, get to your goal way sooner, way faster, right? You don't have to get out the mud. You don't have to be too prideful. I had to learn it the hard way myself, right? Here's one of my students. Right here, we got my guy Amir. Amir was able to go from 0 to 30K months running his funding company. As you can see here, he came to our mastermind. He lived it up. This is my green Corvette right here. He was inspired by just the people that was making so much money in this space. He invested, he learned, he executed. And 6 months later, he was able to, like I said, fund himself, go to 0 to 30K months, fund himself. He now has his own brick and mortar barbershop. And also on top of that, get himself his own Corvette just by starting his funding business. And you guys can do the exact same thing. Also replicated myself, right? It's one thing if I can do it, but can I show other people how they can do it, right? My guy Brandon got somebody 101 funded, made 10K commission. Amir, returning client, 44K, that's $4,400 in commission. Right here, my guy Caesar, first client funded, another win thanks to Stephen Waves, helped me get to the finish line. Got a client funded with bad credit, 550 credit score, monthly revenue 20,000. We funded him $27,000. He made 8% commission, which was a $2,100 payout, right? In 2 business days. Understand this stuff is possible. Then we got my OG Titus. A lot of you may know him. He's already in the funding space. Not going to read all of this for you guys, but kind of skim through it. He's been in the funding space. He's been doing credit card stack. He's making like $40K a month doing that, right? And he was on the same video, the same type of class that I'm doing right now. And as you can see, he asked, what can I do for him? And we add alternative lending. And he was able to close his first dump truck deal. As you can see here, this almost took 30 days to finalize. But we got a $75,000 dump truck financed from my client. I earned $7,500 in commission from this deal and charged a $997 processing fee, which totaled to $8,497 in total commission. And the business owners are referring me more business, right? So understand, it's not only me making money. It's me showing other people how they can make money and putting them in position to be able to build their funding business as well. So, going on, got my guy David. We took David from 0 to 20K months, run his own funding company. I got his Instagram right here so you guys can check it out. Another person with little to no following, right? 300 followers, getting to 20K months to show you guys that when the gurus say you got to post, you got to have a following, you don't. They're just not showing you the right ways how to market because they probably don't know how to market, right? So student success, he was able to quit his job. He runs his funding company full-time now, and he's made over $135,000 since joining my academy. And at our funding mastermind, we presented him with his award, as you can see there. So as we keep it going, another crazy thing, my guy started his own tequila business. Imagine getting to 20K months and then being able to start a tequila business with your father. Not going to read all of this, But as you see here, he was able to leverage OPM, understanding how to get access to capital to then invest and start his own tequila business, as you guys can see here, right? So telling you, it's a life-changing skill. So right now you have 3 paths. You do nothing, your situation stays the same, right? It's up to you, but you guys stayed here for this long for a reason, right? Path number 2, you can try it alone. You'll waste time and money trying to figure it out on your own, but you 1,000% can try it alone. I gave you guys a lot of game, but understand, you don't know what you don't know, and the time to get help is not when you're in the fire and you have a client. It's getting the training, getting the resources, getting the help before you get a client so that you're able to handle them and fulfill when it comes down to that client. Or path number 3, you can get the blueprint to success and work with someone who is experienced and has receipts, right? Somebody like me, somebody that has built a funding company, actually has a funding company, has employees, has sales reps, that's done it, right, at a high level and has helped other people do it at a high level, right? I showed you my receipts and then even my students' receipts, right? A lot of people ain't doing that, right? So I want to present you guys with an offer. And it's not a $10,000, not a $20,000 offer. It's an offer to be able to work with me for 5 days. A lot of you guys will probably think that'll cost $20,000, but I want to show love to you guys. I want to show love to you guys and give you something that's really worth you guys' time. I want to introduce you guys to my Loan Broker Launchpad, where you're going to do a 5-day challenge with me directly August 4th through August 8th, right? And it's going to be a 5-day training in the morning and afternoons, going over everything you need to start growing, scale your own funding business, right? We're going to start off with morning mindset calls. If you can't make it, or if you're driving to work, it's all cool. I'll be in my office with my team, and I'll be showing you guys the mindset it has that you need to really be successful when it comes to this entrepreneurship space, right? You get access to VIP daily Q&A sessions to ask me questions directly, pick my brain, access to all replays, and exclusive Zoom background, right? So let me go into more detail when it comes down to it. So we got 2 breakdowns for you guys, right? I told you guys it's going to be very cheap to be able to spend 5 days with me directly to start growing and scale your funding company. We got general admission. It's $27. 5 days of exclusive training with me directly. You won't have nobody else. It's me directly. Exclusive challenge, Telegram, private group chat to be able to talk with me, engage. We're going to be dropping a lot of game in there. And also our morning mindset call. That's going to be the biggest one, right? To frame that mindset, to break limited beliefs, to get you to where you need to be to really excel at this business. For our VIP, and I honestly, just for the price point, I recommend you guys sign up for the VIP. For our VIP, you get 5 days of exclusive training with me. Like I said, you get into our challenge Telegram, 5 days of morning mindset calls, access daily to VIP Q&A. So people that are in the VIP get a whole hour of asking me Q&A before we even start the class. So I highly recommend you guys get into that to pick my brain. I'm not gatekeeping anything, right? Access to all replays, right? So VIPs are the only ones that will get replays. At general admissions, you will attend, but you won't get a replay, right? And then you get exclusive background. So when I do a Q&A after, I answer your questions directly when it comes down to it. So like I mentioned, this is for you guys that really want to need the hand holding at an affordable rate to be able to get to where you want to go, to starting your own funding company, right? This is literally a dinner, a nice weekend. This is a nice steak right here, right? This is a feeding the family at McDonald's. So understand, get in the room, get access to the information to be able to grow like you want to, right? During those 5 days, we're going to go over personal credit mastery, setting up your business the right way, business credit mastery. We're going to do some live funding on the call. We're going over marketing, how to generate leads with the audience, without the audience, going over everything sales, how to close more deals, the infrastructure of actually building a real company and a real team, having setters, having closers, having everything you need to be able to really build a business, hiring, everything you need to actually get going when it comes to this business during this 5-day challenge to start being able to become that loan broker that you want to become, right? So I know you've been in the academy. Got my guy right here. He was able to make $6K after 30 days. I don't want to bore you guys with a bunch of different testimonials, right? So I'm going to kind of slide by this a little bit. But we was able to help somebody that literally came from nothing, knew nothing about credit, was able to come in, be able to get his first client in the first 30 days and make $6,000, right? Make $6,000 off funding them $60,000, right? In 30 days, knowing nothing about credit, just following our infrastructure that we're going to be going over during the challenge, right? And then going back to my guy, Matt, right? He's on my Instagram. You guys can check him out. We took him to 200K months. He was already in the funding space, didn't have funding in-house. We put funding in-house. We put the right marketing systems. We added more employees, and he was able to scale to 200K 8 months, and you guys should check that out. People ain't doing this in this industry, right? A lot of people showing you testimonials and all this stuff, but people ain't doing stuff like this. I'm one of the only ones, so know during that 5-day challenge, it's well worth the investment. Probably I should be charging $497, right? But it's only $47 for you guys to get in the room to be able to add value and get to where you want to go when it comes down to it. So, like I mentioned, right, we got the Loan Broker Challenge. It's a 5-day challenge. Spending 5 days with me directly, not somebody else, to be able to start, grow, and scale your own funding company, right? Like I said, August 4th through 8th, this is chump change. This is chump change for you guys, right? $27 for general admissions. You get access to the 5 days of exclusive trainings, a Telegram chat, and also the mindset morning calls, right? What I highly recommend and suggest you guys to do for the $47 one is because it's VIP access, is more bang for your buck. Like I said, you get VIP daily Q&As with me directly to pick my brain before we actually start class, access to all replays, Zoom backgrounds, and the morning mindset calls as well. There's going to be a link pinned under this video. You guys can sign up right then and there. We're going to add you to a chat. We'll stay in communication. Understand that we cannot start earlier. The earliest we can start is August 4th through 8th. That's when we start on August 4th. So make sure you're there, family. And like I mentioned, get in the room. Get in the room, right? A lot of us, we let opportunity pass us by, and opportunity don't always knock twice, right? So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Execute. If you got anything out of this, just make sure you execute. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.